Hey guys, this is Asante here from the Tech Muse Academy. Welcome back to another episode of the Tech Muse podcast. Before we get too far into it, I'll give fair warning on the front end that I am a little under the weather, and if I have any uncontrollable bursts of coughing, I'll try to edit those out with the wonders of modern technology. But today on the show, I got a really interesting guest that I've been looking forward to chatting with for a little while. He is, you could say, a YouTube celebrity. I don't know if you'd call yourself that, but I'm gonna. And he's a musician who does primarily a cappella videos, and hopefully we'll get into some of that. But in the meantime, Peter Hollens, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Like we were speaking about just a second ago, I saw you had a conversation a while ago with my buddy Graham Cochran, and that kind of put you on my radar, and I've been sort of following your YouTube videos ever since. You do some really good work. But before we get too far into it, for those of my listeners who are not familiar with you, just give us a little bit of the 1, 2, 3 as to who you are, where you're from, what do you do for a living?
Sure. I am Peter Hollens. I am a dorky dad in my 30s who gets to make a tremendous living, in my underwear, in my garage, singing weird songs and weird sounds into a microphone. That's probably about as basic as you can get.
And you have managed to get yourself to a point where this is what you do for a living now, I take it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know the nuts and bolts, I'm running a digital media company. I have 19 contractors. I'm taking on 2 full-time employees in 2017. Actually, I already currently have one. I'm more successful doing what I'm doing than I ever thought I would, and I didn't even think that it was possible to do this, right? And the biggest thing that I want to convey is that you no longer, as a musician, have to do the touring, outward-facing version of what you've been expected to do for decades. I don't leave my home, and I just have consistent residual income coming from all sorts of places, and I really want to help encourage people that there has been no better time in the history as a musician to take advantage of the entrepreneurial what's the best way of saying that?
I would use the word opportunities.
Opportunities that now exist, right?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
We have this thing called the internet. We have this thing called the internet. It's a free marketing tool worldwide, minus maybe China and Russia soon. But we can get it.
Preach, brother, preach. I know. This is. I don't know how familiar you are with Tech Muse and the work that I do, but we cover primarily 2 pillar topics of conversation. One is music production, hence my association with Graham Cochran and the Recording Revolution, and then the other is music marketing. And I know
those are hand in hand.
Yes.
You can't, like, people. Oh my God! Oh, I get so angry. If anyone out there thinks that you do not have the ability, okay, no, let's go the other way. If you think that being a musician and being an entrepreneur are separate things, right? And being an entrepreneur, that means, like, basically, you're your marketer, you're your agent, you're your manager. Like, that's the same thing now.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to only be one, you're not going to succeed. You could be the best singer with the best song. No one's going to care. You need to have distribution and you need to have content. And if those aren't married, like, distribution is queen and content is king. And if those 2 things aren't married together, you're nothing. You don't have anything.
Yes. And we live in a time where both of those things are so readily available and attainable by the average person. You don't have to be Daddy Warbucks, to take advantage of these things. You don't have to wait, waving your hand in the air to be picked by a record label so that they can put their marketing dollars behind you. Sure, some people still do that. That game is still played. But man, the things you can do now just as a regular individual with some talent and a little bit of technology and some drive, it's pretty impressive.
Let's not kid ourselves. It's not some drive. It is the most amazing amount of hard work ever. But that's the pendulum, right? And the pendulum's getting, it's getting harder and harder to attain, right? You need to have a certain amount of talent because you can't have a piece of content that isn't providing value.
Right.
But then you need to balance that with incredible marketing and incredible drive.
Yes.
And there's just no excuse anymore. And if you're sitting there and you're making excuses for yourself Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your excuses. You have to do this. If you believe in yourself and you want to do this for a living, it's up to you to do so. So
absolutely, I 100% agree, and it's one of the things I've been sort of preaching, quote unquote, for quite some time now. Well, tell us a little bit about how you've built what you've built right now with your fan base, your YouTube channel, your Patreon page, which is looking fairly impressive these days as well.
Oh gosh, I've been very blessed as of late. It came about in such an organic way. I had never desired to have a solo career. Really quickly, I came up as a recording engineer. My love of music was so hyper focused on male harmony, male vocal harmony. I believe, very biased, but I believe that the voice is the most powerful instrument out there. We all have it. We all have the ability to sing. We all can be taught how to sing. As a vocal coach, I do believe that. And there's something really special, in my opinion, about male harmony. Not that female voices aren't the most amazing thing, but it's something to me that really just hits me right to my core. And so I started an a cappella group, ended up going into recording engineering, took all the money I had saved to become a choral director, took it out, bought myself a recording studio, like a home recording studio, started recording a cappella groups around the nation, ended up on a TV show called The Sing Off, the same one that Pentatonics came from.
Nice.
Had about 4 or 5 solos, which kind of gave me the impetus to turn the mic upon myself. Also, my dad was he was passing on at the time, and he'd always been trying to get me to do my own stuff, and so that was kind of enough reason to
absolutely
kick myself in gear. And just like I taught myself Pro Tools, I taught myself recording and editing, because I knew that, like, just reverse engineering what I saw people doing that was successful online. I was like, well, the only way to distribute in 2011, it was becoming more and more apparent that was the platform of YouTube, and that every single piece of audio content needed a video to be distributed, because there was a lot less competition back then with that. And so started picking that up little by little. Luckily ran into some other artists that taught me that collaboration was the key, and I started basically grabbing onto the ethos and the overall idea that YouTube, like, kind of between about 2006 and like 2015 really fostered, which was that the rising tide lifts all boats. And so I started looking at my fellow artists as peers instead of competitors. And the second I did that, the second I changed that in my head, not only was I just incredibly more happy because I was providing value to people's lives, and I was teaching other people, and I was inspiring other people, which just makes you happy in general, but everything else that you would want as a musician, if you are hyper-focusing on yourself and your career, it just was a byproduct of helping others. And so, I learned. I'm very, very hyper-focused on technology. I think as technology goes, music goes, and you need to stay innovative constantly and ahead of the boat. Always reaching for the next platform, the next thing that's coming down the line, without waiting for it to be the right thing to do, because by that time it's too late. And I just believe in hard work. I don't think since April of 2012 I've worked less than 85 hours every single week. I don't take time out. Not because, well, I am crazy, but not because of any other reason. I'm addicted to it, right? Like, doing what you love for a living is like the biggest dopamine boost ever. And every single time I'm, over here in my studio, sorry, I have a bunch of boxes because I'm signing ornaments and T-shirts right now. But every time I'm recording, I'm enjoying life. Every time I am communicating with my supporters, I'm loving it. And obviously, every single time you release a video and you get that rush of engagement, it's just astounding how that feels, right? I mean, we're humans, and so you like that.
Totally.
So that's my thing. That's how I got to where I am, and now I advise many companies. I just got back speaking to Congress about the plight of the digital musician and giving them a new story to tell that wasn't just the Bono, Taylor Swift publishers label BS, because there's tens of thousands of us that are doing this for a living, that are making a living providing an actual sustainable income for ourselves or our families, which is making it, which is doing what you love for a living. and there's like literally a few hundred that the media and that the politicians focus on, and they create they create legislature because people lobby them, just like the way all politics work.
Yep.
But I'm going to do what I can to spend time to try to fight the good fight, because this creator revolution that we are in is only just now picking up steam. And like you brought up, Patreon, for example, in my opinion, is the quintessential company that is understanding where we're heading and providing an infrastructure for success for people like myself or people like you. Because it's not just about musicians, right? It's about creators in all types. So if you yourself don't have a Patreon campaign, you are totally messing up, because you're leaving an opportunity on the table to foster a community like your hardcore supporters who want to provide value back to you because you're providing so much value to them. Because it's not just about the information that they're getting. Well, a lot of people, no matter what, if you're providing value, knowledge, right? Like, there's so many different ways to provide value. Knowledge, time, money, but like you're providing knowledge which is priceless, right? And a lot of the people, because of who they are as humans, they want to provide that back. And so you have to, in my opinion, you should give them the opportunity to do so. And it's not about taking money, and it's not about asking for money. It's about allowing people to be part of the creative process, whether you are a teacher or a facilitator or a distributor, which theoretically, I don't know you. I haven't listened to your blog enough. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. You're
That's
everything.
All right. Yeah.
But I think all three of those things would describe what you do. And you create. You're creating something of substance and importance. So I think anyone that does that in any vertical, especially of consistent content creation, should be on that platform.
Yeah, I actually have a Patreon page. I just haven't really pushed it much. I haven't done much with it.
Here's the thing. You should not feel at all. Here, let's provide value back to you, because this is the truth, right? Anyone who's listening to this, if you've ever listened to this gentleman before and you have learned anything, I would strongly encourage you to check out his Patreon campaign. Not only because being a patron of something that you believe in just feels good to you, just like when you give a gift at Christmas, like when you turn from a little kid and you care about like taking and getting it, and then all of a sudden you kind of have that switch turning and you're like, giving actually even feels better than getting, right?
Yeah.
It's true. It's human nature. It's compassion. It's empathy. It's all these things. Like, give back. Don't be scared about buying all into something that is just right. I mean, every single company that is like a 95-5 split, that is like a platform to help people succeed doing what they love, should never be like something that you are like bashful about, because it's not about the conversation of making money. It's about letting them join in the journey of like making this world a better place. And if you're helping create knowledge, which seems like what you're doing, then you're doing it right, my friend. Sorry, I'll get off.
That's okay. No, I appreciate you saying those things. Like I say, I put my Patreon page together when I first learned about it. I learned about it from Graham as well. He keeps coming up in this conversation because he had put one out, and I saw him mention it at the end of one of his videos, and I thought, what is this Patreon thing? And so checked it out, and it's fascinating, and it falls perfectly in line with one of the core concepts behind my personal approach to artist promotion, and I believe you would probably agree with me. And that is to consistently produce content, which is what you've referred to as delivering value, right? To as frequently and consistently as you're able to do, and then to collect the contact information of the people who resonate with the value that you create, so that you can engage with them and grow a relationship, whether that's an email list or, chatting with people on your YouTube comments or whatever, Twitter, doesn't matter. The more places, the better, in my opinion, but you can't do them all. And then from there, as you nurture those relationships and rapport, and people start to become more interested in you, the artist, as opposed to that piece of content that you put out, then you just simply provide them with opportunities to be supportive should they choose to, as opposed to what I see a lot of bands and artists do, which is buy my record, new singles out, it's in iTunes, buy my record, right? Instead of doing that, just give value bombs.
Think about exactly. No, I 100% agree. And think about the complete lack of long tail future proofing of your brand and your integrity as an artist. Like you don't want to be like, give me short-term money. Like you want to, like a relationship with one person is so much more valuable than someone buying a one-off on your album. If I get one person to give me, like, to become a patron at $1, no matter what, because I know the way that I interact with that person and provide value back to that person, that as long as that person has $1 to give me a month, that they're not going to leave, because if they care about what I do, I'm gonna like outpour everything to them first, right? Like I get on Patreon, like I give as much value up front to anyone that gives me $1. I give almost the same amount of value to somebody gives me $1 as somebody gives me $125.
Yeah.
Because in my eyes, it's not about money; it's about the people and the person, right? So if you only look at people about buying stuff, it's so short term, because right now it's not about making money. It's about fostering a community and managing that community in a way that is authentic and organic and like built around what you are and what it means to be, close to you. And then monetizing that relationship. And I hate monetizing because it sounds really negative and businessy. And I would love to be able to come up with like a new adjective with you. We can like start a revolution, right? But the point is, it's about people, and you want people to buy into your passion and your love for your art.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd add to that, by the way, I 100% agree, and I appreciate you saying all these things. The other thing I'd add to that is with a relationship with your fan base that is like what you're able to achieve on Patreon. It's you have the ability, like from an entrepreneurial perspective, you have the ability to simply focus on the people who are already there, the people who are already your fans, your customers, quote unquote, right? As opposed to trying to go out every day and find new ones. And I think it's the same, and even in my business, the Tech Music Academy, I run a continuity program where my students pay monthly and they get access to all of the content and they get access to the community, and I'm in there as much as I can be trying to foster engagement and so on and so forth. And because that membership platform is growing at a reasonably nice pace, I don't have to go out every day and try to find new customers. I can just focus on the ones I already have and just keep providing value instead of selling things. And I think a very similar approach, is what we should apply as artists. And I believe that's what you're describing, if I'm understanding you right.
Right, and the infrastructure that you've created for your subscription service is one in which I believe Patreon can do to the community at large and at scale, and done by creators for creators. So even to the extent that I've had times where I'm consulting other artists who have established similar setups where truly to their bottom line, it behooves them to stop their own thing that they've created because it's too much time and energy, and actually they might even be making less money than if they just allowed Patreon to run it, right?
Yeah.
And it is obviously more scary when it's not something that you own and run, but knowing what I know and full complete like transparency, I am an advisor of Patreon. So all of a sudden you're like, oh well, everything he's saying is only because I'm like, oh, I don't get anything because of that, but I am an advisor because I care so deeply that this company is doing right for tens of thousands of creators.
I think it's an amazing platform. I felt all warm and fuzzy inside when I first learned what they were doing over there, and when I saw people using it with success. I mean, do you know Julia Nunes? Or
of course, yeah.
And that she was one of the first ones I saw there doing some really good work. Amanda Palmer just killing it.
She's she was the first artist to get 1 million on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But understand that, right? Here's Amanda Palmer, artists out there, managers out there, anyone that's listening. Here's Amanda Palmer, incredible community manager, brilliant person. First person to break 1 million on Kickstarter. As soon as she understood what Patreon was, she pushed all of her people to Patreon, and she'll never do a Kickstarter again.
Yeah.
Because she understands that you're making something for the long haul. It's not about doing a huge campaign to have a one-off. I mean, why? Mm-hmm. And truthfully, I don't believe in email. Email open, like I have an email list. Mm-hmm. That's great. but can we talk about where tech is going?
Sure.
Email is going to get thrown out the door sooner than later. The thing, what really matters, and we don't need to even go down this line. Maybe that's not what you want to talk about. But anyway,
No, I'm open to whatever, but I do believe that the power of email is getting less and less as years go by.
no, it's so frustrating too because I just jumped on board. I started my mailing list this year, and I almost have 40,000, and I was like, dang it! If I just would have started this in 2011, I'd have like 250,000 people by now.
Oh yeah, and you'd send out that one email and wake up to all kinds of good stuff in the morning.
But anyway.
Yeah, but the point though, I think, whether it's your email list or something else, the point is having a channel of communication with your audience or your fans that you can scale. So certain channels are not that scalable. If I hand wrote a letter, if I had 10 fans, I could handwrite them a letter, put it in an envelope, and send it in the mail. If I have 10,000 fans, that becomes a channel of communication I could no longer really use, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And if email is working and people are opening them and they're enjoying them, then use that channel. One of the things I like about an email list is that I own it. It's an asset I own. So there's an advantage there. But the point is not so much the email list, it's the communication and the fostering of the relationships with your audience in a way that can scale.
Right.
Would you agree?
I 100% agree, and I also want to add that the overall macro of what you just said, which is being a community manager, is vital to the success of anyone's career, any type of creator. And you are 100% correct that email is quintessential, specifically to a certain demographic that doesn't believe in social media, right? There's a certain demographic that we can hit on Facebook because it's a little older and they're more grandmas and parents and 35 and ups are on Facebook, but still a lot of people just don't like Facebook for whatever reason, and so that demographic is really only able to be hit usually with a mailing list. I personally have the bulk of my numbers, all my metric social media crap, on different social media sites that's very, very 35 and under, right?
Right.
And that type of demo usually doesn't have a lot of disposable income, and so I was dumb that I didn't start it earlier. And you live and learn. But the thing I would tell you, and I'm sure you already know, is like it totally behooves us to know where we're heading. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about like macro,
yeah,
and what is the next thing that we can own, data-wise, that allows us to communicate directly to our supporters, and we need to figure out that immediately because, as you and I probably both know by looking at our open rates, the second Gmail even did their separate primary social promotions tab, it was like, gagonk. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So things like that will continue to happen because there's just an incredible amount of content out there, and the saturation in time.
Yeah.
And time is the most important thing. I mean, there's a lot of things we could talk about, but hey, by the way, total reverse. I released a Christmas album, and you should listen to it because it's really good.
Absolutely.
And it's the only thing I've ever actually made that I'm like really proud enough to actually tell people to go and get. Like, as a consistent content creator who releases 2 or 3 music videos a month, you're kind of numb to like I could make something and it could mean a lot to 1 or 2 people, but taking the amount of time and effort I put into this album, and it being so crowdsourced. I mean, the songs are all picked by my community for my community. But in general, it's like all these songs got like requested between 500 and like 1,500 times, right? Through a 3-year period of me being like, if I did a Christmas album, well, other than the song I wrote on it, which is really good. You should listen to it. It's called December Song. Okay.
Yeah, you ran a contest of some kind recently over that, right?
Yeah, it's still running. Actually, it's a pretty kick butt contest. I have 10 different reward options. So first of all, it's a cover contest, right? It's still running. I provide all the charts and midis for whatever, guitar, piano, vocal, everything. So that it's a lot easier for you to create your own cover of it. But so the first prize winner will be flown to me to work with my production company for video and audio. We will make a music video together. You will be highlighted just as much as I am in the music video, and I will push to my entire audience of like 2.5 whatever million blah 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 to try to provide value back to that person who wins, right? And hopefully this is somebody that's like an up and comer that doesn't have a fan base yet, and hopefully you can give them a huge boost like I was given when I first started.
Absolutely.
Second place is like, I will do an entire production from concept to execution for just the audio, and another one's like 30-minute consultations. I advise companies and musicians now, and that's if somebody's actually serious about this, that's a great value. And then another one is my professional arrangement team will create arrangements, but then anyone who gets top 10 is going to be then put into a mashup that will be released on my video to my 1.5 million subscribers, so that then I will push to each of those people. And then 5 through 10 we're giving to charities, and I have like this huge bundle of like a holiday gift to send them, chocolates and CDs and ornaments and stuff. But it's I just need. I really believe in giving back to artist community, and I think it's kind of a win-win, right? It gets my new my IP out there that I really believe in, and I really think this is a decent Christmas song, because we have so few Christmas songs, and hopefully this is turns into a good one. But I really want to find talent and hardworking individuals. Not only give them the impetus to actually, am I using that word right?
I think so, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't read enough as a kid. It's to create a music video, which I think is quintessential to every single piece of audio content created, that you have to have a visual element, and to kick somebody's butt into gear to actually do it maybe for the first time.
Right.
But then truly for the people who are like, that are there, like really educate them, as many people that want to listen, that you can do this for a living. This is how you do it. This is your workflow. Yes.
Yeah, I share a similar mission. And it's the other thing, too, is I imagine that running a contest like this is a real great way to create some excitement within your community, a little bit of buzz, get people interacting a bit more. And I find that from my own community management, that being able to interact myself with my audience is one thing. When it gets to the point where they're interacting with themselves, it's a whole other thing altogether. That may not always be the case, but I've certainly seen it in my personal experience. And people are more inclined to want to stick around when they feel as though they have a bunch of friends in that community.
Yeah.
And it also takes some of the load off of me as the community manager. I don't have to be the one that engages with absolutely everyone. Whenever there's a question asked or whatnot, other people will jump in and take over.
And that's truthfully, that's the beauty of human nature, because eventually people do understand that it's about community. It is about helping one another. And if you're able to foster that initially and create the infrastructure for that, it's such a beautiful thing to just step back and watch. I totally agree. Also, and if you would like to join the contest, it's just Peter Hollens /contest, and that will take you to get all of that. And my last name is spelled Hollens.
Yes, it is.
Or if you want to find, sorry, I have to do this stuff, right?
Yeah, you have to.
If you ever want to find me, guys, you just type in Peter on YouTube, and I'm usually the first thing that pops up. And if you like what you see, you can figure out the best ways to get in touch with me with a few clicks on there. So.
Yes, indeed. And almost 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. How long have you been doing this on YouTube? How long did it take to grow that following?
I've been full-time since May of 2012.
Okay.
I started a part-time in January of 2011. And yeah.
And what would you, if you had to give one piece of advice to an aspiring artist or content creator in terms of doing what you're doing, building an audience of supporters as well, what do you think would be, apart from the thing you really emphasized earlier, which is work ethic? We all got to have that. You don't get you don't get nothing from sitting on your couch watching TV, right? Apart from that, what would you say would be sort of the one or two key things to be doing, to never forget about, if you want to, over the course of a few years, build an audience like you've done, like you've built?
First and foremost, release consistently. If you haven't started yet, just begin.
Yes.
Because right now you're going to fail by just talking about it and thinking about it and giving excuses not to start. But truthfully, consistent content, always engage with every single person that engages with you. It's the exact same thing as if you owned a brick and mortar store in New York City, and somebody walked in and said, "Oh, I love this bookstore," and asked you a question, and you just stood there and stared at them.
Yeah.
It's the same dang thing digitally. If somebody tweets you, if somebody writes you an email, if somebody sends a Facebook message to you and says, "Oh, I loved your ex," and get some thick skin, because you need to not give a crap about what people think about you.
Yes.
If somebody is being a troll, because this is the internet, you should feel grateful.
Yeah.
Because that means that they actually took the time to write something. The worst thing, and by the way, the best thing to do is to troll a troll with positivity. So spread that right now. I'm sorry, if I get too passionate, I'm gonna start cussing, and I don't want to do that.
No, I love it. It's all good.
But the best thing I can say is, if you haven't started yet, find someone that's doing something like you would want to do, and copy the hell out of that. Then. And don't think that mimicking something that's working is a bad thing.
No.
I'm sorry. Don't reinvent the wheel, okay? You copy that because you need something to copy, use it as a template, and then go back and reverse engineer. What did I do? What did I like? What did I not like? And then start slowly adjusting until it's you. It's your own voice. Because it's not about being the most innovative, creative person in the entire world in the beginning. That should be your end goal. Your beginning goal is just getting people who give a crap about what you're doing.
Yes.
Because in the beginning, no one does.
Yeah.
No one cares about you. Maybe your mom. Maybe if you're lucky, your parents do.
Yeah.
But you need to work your tail off. You need to release consistently. And you need to love the work. And if you don't love the work, you shouldn't do this, because that's what this is about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not about fame or money or any of that crap. It's about the work. And if you love the work, you will succeed. If you don't love the work, then change what you're doing, because you're in the wrong career.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah. Pardon me. Okay. I'm going to be respectful of your time. I actually have to I have another appointment shortly myself. Just want to let everyone know, peterhollens.com is where you can find everything, I believe, right? Links to all your social, links to your products, your music, your videos. And of course, check them out on Patreon. I imagine there's going to be a link there too. For Patreon. Now, I'm just looking at your Patreon right now. You got over 4,000 patrons. That's fantastic, and bringing in a decent chunk of change every video. So that's really nice, and that's an indication rather. Excuse me, my alarm's going off. Of the way in which you manage your community, and the way in which you must engage and interact with your community, because people don't just sign up to throw money at you just because, oh, I like the way he did his hair, here's $10, right? Doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? So no, that's really impressive, and I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
So
I like you. Can we stay in touch?
I certainly hope so. Yeah, you got a good energy, and I like the way you think, and I would absolutely like to stay in touch, and perhaps we can have this a conversation like this again sometime, and maybe dig into some different subjects.
Yeah, we should do this like bi-yearly. We should just set up appointments, because I love talking to people. And you have a podcast? The podcast is, everything is TechMuse, TechMuze, techmuseacademy.com. I'm literally going to download you right now.
There you go. Yeah. And this will be an episode of said podcast, and it will also go on the YouTube channel.
Hey, guys, everyone listening, if you have not reviewed his podcast on whatever device you have, take 30 seconds out of your time and do that, because that means the world to him.
It certainly
does. It literally takes you no time. And I know it's like, oh my gosh, I actually have to pick up my phone and type a few things. Like, you doing that and taking 30 seconds out of your time means more to him than you understand. So freaking do that, okay? Because just do it.
Word. I appreciate that too. All right, Peter, I'm going to cut you loose. And like I said, we'll stay in touch, and hopefully we can chat again soon. I'm a subscriber on your YouTube channel, just so you know. So I'm one of the 1.5 mil that are just about there.
Well, you should become a $1 patron. I think you'd enjoy it.
Okay, I feel you. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll send you my Patreon link as well.
Deal.
All right, brother. Take care. Thanks for the chat, and we'll do it again soon.
All right, peace.